morning, 5th grade! Everybody wake up, move around a little bit, get your blood flowing, because it is Monday morning and we are here to learn. But before we jump in, I want to get some sort of understanding virtually about how your weekend was. So while I can't really see your answers right now, just think about it. Did you have a good weekend? Did you have a bad weekend? Did you have an okay weekend? Maybe nothing happened at all. Maybe you went on a hike or a camping trip. I don't know. Hopefully you were safe and social distanced and wore a mask, because that's pretty important right now. So I can tell you, because you all are forced to listen to me for this class, I can tell you that I hung out with my dog this weekend. Y'all know Baxter. He's my golden retriever. He's 2. And we go on adventures all the time. We like to go on hikes together. Sometimes we just adventure in our yard and play fetch, and he finds things that he shouldn't and tries to eat them. Who knows? But most of the time, I make him happy and he makes me happy. Do any of you have a relationship with a pet or a plant that makes you feel this way? Think about it. So this ties in to what we're learning. You might be wondering, Miss Penn, what could we possibly be learning about your golden retriever that we don't already know, right? Because I talk about him all the time. But today we are going to discuss symbiotic relationships. Okay. Big words, right? Some of you may have heard the term symbiosis. Some of you may have not. And that's okay, because my job today is to explain it to you. So hopefully by the end of class, you all have a better understanding of what a symbiotic relationship is and some examples of what that might look like, excuse me. So, symbiosis is a close and prolonged relationship between 2 or more different organisms of different species that benefits one or both members of the relationship. Breathe. Take that in. I'm going to say it again. Symbiosis is a close and prolonged relationship. Okay, we're going to stop there. Close and prolonged, long term, right? Between 2 or more different organisms of different species. So, it's not saying between a human and a human. It has to be, or a dog and a dog, but it could be between me and my dog, or you and your cat, or a plant and a bird. Different species. And this relationship benefits one or both of the members taking part. So maybe we both get something out of it, like me and Baxter. He gets food, I get love. Maybe just one person gets something out of it, like if I didn't get love and Baxter only got food. Not true. So there are 3 main types of symbiotic relationships that we're going to be discussing today. Mutualistic, commensal, and parasitic. Okay. I know this sounds scary and it sounds like a lot, and that is okay. Take a deep breath and we are going to get into it. So, for a mutualistic relationship, both species benefit. Think about it like this, a plus and a plus, right? Me and Baxter. I get love, happiness, and company. He gets food, pets, playtime. We both get good things out of it. It benefits both of us. It's mutually beneficial, hence the name mutualistic, right? Now, I want you to take a minute and think. Can you think of a relationship between 2 different species that would be a mutualistic relationship? It's okay. Just think about it. You can have it in your head or you can write it down on a piece of paper. To make this more fun and so you're not just sitting here looking at me, let's watch some videos about mutualistic relationships between species.
Whenever a huge tree falls in the Costa Rican rainforest, a gap of sunlight is formed in the canopy. New life competes for this light, like this vine racing this sapling upward. But there's one tree that never has any competition, thanks to an incredible symbiotic relationship it shares with an ant. The swollen thorn acacia and its namesake, the acacia ant, have developed harmonious roles in each other's lives. The ant's role is as protector. If any of those vines try to steal the acacia's light, the ant's security guards go to work. A few good chomps on the vine stems, and it's lights out for the vine. The ants don't stop there. This relatively huge grasshopper may think it's going to take a few bites out of the non-poisonous acacia, but the ants take a few bites out of it instead. And they throw in a few stings for good measure. In exchange for all this protection, the tree takes on the provider role. It gives the insect everything it needs in terms of food and shelter. These little nodules, or nectaries, secrete a sweet nectar for the adult ants to eat. And these brownish pods at the end of some leaves are the perfect, nutrient-packed food for the ants' developing young, called larvae. The acacia ant larvae live down hollowed-out thorns at the base of the acacia leaves. Some will eventually grow into adults with wings and will fly off to replicate this evolutionary masterpiece in a new acacia.
How cool is that? So the ants get food and shelter and the tree gets protection. Both benefit. So we're also going to talk about another symbiotic relationship, which is a commensal relationship. In this relationship, one partner benefits while the other is unharmed or unaffected, I should say. So the other doesn't benefit and doesn't get hurt from this partnership. So to think of some examples, let's see. Have you ever gone to the aquarium and seen those little tiny sucker fish who live basically underneath the shark? So they are in a commensal relationship with the shark. They get possibly some food from the shark. They get protection from the shark. The shark doesn't get anything from them. It's not hurt and it's not helped. It's pretty cool. Check out that cute little sucker fish getting a ride with the shark. It's being protected, nothing's bothering it. It is just living the good life. Okay, so we have talked about two symbiotic relationships so far. We have talked about mutualistic relationships and commensalistic relationships. Mutualistic, both benefit. Commensalist, one benefits, one is unaffected. And now we get to talk about my very favorite symbiotic relationship. Can you guess what it is? It is parasitism. So, yes, like those kinds of parasites that your dogs might get, that humans might get on, some crazy, this is what happened when I went to some country story on the news and came back with a tapeworm, that kind of parasite. So in a parasitic relationship, one partner benefits while the other is negatively affected. Makes sense, right? Parasites harm, right? So think about plus, minus. One gets something, one gets harmed. Now, my absolute very favorite example of a parasitic relationship is the zombie ant. Now, we're in 2020, so this shouldn't surprise you, right? Nothing new. We've had pandemics. We've had schools shutting down, online things. What else have we had? We've had fires. We've had terrible things going on in the world. So, zombie ants, whatever, right? Well, let's learn about these zombie ants because they are pretty insane.
But not all fungi feed on the dead. Days ago, a spore landed on this ant. Now she's acting strange. A network of roots has infiltrated her muscles. Her body has been taken over by cordyceps, a parasitic fungus. It floods her brain with chemicals, drugging her, compelling her to head where conditions are perfect. Just the right amount of light, just the right amount of humidity for the parasite growing inside. It forces her to clamp down in a death bite, and cordyceps reveals its gruesome nature. After 3 weeks of growth, cordyceps can release its own spores, infecting more ants, releasing more spores, infecting more ants, releasing more spores, infecting more ants, infecting more ants, more and more and more ants. Cordyceps can wipe out entire ant colonies. But more than just ants are at risk. There are over 600 species of cordyceps spread across the world. Most are found in jungles, where they prey on a whole host of victims.
How disgusting was that? In the coolest possible way. So now you can go home and tell all of your parents and tell your friends in other classes that zombie ants do exist. All right, friends. So I just want to sum up everything that we've learned and talked about today and give you the main takeaways. So we discussed what a symbiotic relationship is. And a symbiotic relationship is a close and prolonged relationship between two organisms of two different species. There are 3 types that we talked about. We talked about mutualistic relationships, commensal relationships, and parasitic relationships. Mutualistic relationships are when both partners benefit. Commensal relationships is when one partner benefits and the other is unaffected. And lastly, our zombie ant friends are parasitic relationships, which is when one partner benefits and the other is negatively affected. So, can you come up with your own examples of any of these relationships? And saying a younger brother or sister does not count as a parasitic relationship because they are not, but also you're both the same species, so it doesn't really work. So try again for anyone that was thinking that. Thanks, guys. I will see you all next week.